Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Sunday, April 28th, 2019, 7:07 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So we're going to look at a little space weather to start the show out with, and then we're going to look at Nostradoomus methane report for this week, and then we're going to look at new methane data from CAMS, and we're going to look at the Oroville Dam water levels, and then we'll look at our earthquakes for the last 24 hours. So it should be a pretty packed report tonight. So I hope everyone is doing well, and so just sit back and let's see what's going on. First of all, this is a picture of the sun from today, and we can see a large coronal hole right here in the middle, and then another hole over here on this side. Then we've got a hole at the South Pole and the hole at the North Pole too. So when you have holes in the corona of the sun, it means that all this radiation from the sun is going to be spewing out. Cosmic radiation is spewing out, and once this becomes earth facing, and it is earth facing, but it takes a couple of days for it to get here. But they're saying by May 2nd we're going to get some solar wind that will be affecting us. And whenever this happens, it can also increase earthquakes. This is from spaceweather.com. It says geomagnetic unrest. A large hole in the sun's atmosphere is turning toward Earth and spewing a stream of solar wind in our direction. Estimated time of arrival is May 2nd. Minor geomagnetic storms are possible when the gaseous material arrives. And aurora alerts are out too. We're also approaching a stream of debris from Halley's Comet, source of the annual Eta Aquarid meteor shower. If forecasters are correct, the shower will peak on the nights of May 4th through the 6th with as many as 40 meteors per hour. So we got that coming up. This is a good year for Eta Aquarid meteors, said Bill Cook of NASA's Meteoroid Environment Office. The show's peak coincides with a new moon, so skies will be dark for the display. The best time to look is during the hours before sunrise, when the constellation Aquarius is high in the southern sky. Nominally, May 5th will be the most active morning, but May 4th and May 6th should be good too. Halley's stream of debris is wide and spreads the display over 3 full days. So there's that. And you can also listen to the Martian earthquake if you come to their website and you hit that. I don't have the system sound set up to record right now, and I don't want to get a YouTube strike, but you just click on this and it's a YouTube video, and it's the sound of the Martian earthquakes that that NASA's InSight lander has recorded. Here's all the fireballs. Here's all the near-Earth asteroids. We've got 1,967 potentially hazardous asteroids. And cosmic rays coming in. Here's your daily hot flights for airplane flights that have the most radiation coming in on them. And so there's space weather. So things are happening. Always something going on. So next, I want to go over Dave's methane report, or Nostradoomus. He says, "Hi Margo and all. Here is the latest methane concentration data, parts per billion, from the METOP satellites provided by NOAA, dated April 27th, 2019. And it's not good news." Now he left this under a comment, as a comment under my video from last night. And so what he's been doing is going to NOAA every Saturday and checking the methane levels for all of these different heights in the atmosphere and recording them, and then seeing what the difference is from week to week. So here are the numbers, and I've put it into a spreadsheet. We're going to look at that in a second. And so now he's calculated a mean rise at each altitude for the past 7 days. At 931 millibars, there was an increase of 1.75 parts per billion. At 706 millibars, an increase of 3.75 parts per billion. At 477 millibars, an overall increase of 5.5 parts per billion, and 300 millibars, an overall increase of 2.5 parts per billion. So remember, the last couple of weeks it was down, but now it's up. So here's his analysis. The range of increase for each satellite measurement is that METOP 1 PM showed the smallest mean rise at 1.5 parts per billion, with the highest being 500 parts per billion for METOP 2 AM. Overall, the total average increase over the past 7 days has been 3.375 parts per billion. I'm not going to say anything more on this matter. The figures speak for themselves. Take care, everyone. Love, Dave. And then I responded and said, "Thank you for the report, Dave." He says, "You're welcome, Margo. I'm going to make a prediction for the overall mean concentration rise over the next 7 days to be 3.6 parts per billion." So we'll see what happens, and it is early in the year for this to start rising typically. And I was talking to Dave about this today, that nothing is typical anymore and nothing is normal. Everything is out of the ordinary. So every day is a new day and nothing's normal anymore. But typically the methane levels would still be dropping until about mid-summer for the northern hemisphere, and then they'd start rising. So now let's look at my spreadsheet. So here I'll open this up a little bit. So I've split the screen here, split the window here, so that I can just scroll more data across. So he gave us methane readings for 477 millibars on March the 1st, and so I'm tracking that. I'm tracking 477, and then starting on the 8th was when, or the 9th was when he started tracking these 4 different levels. So before we go into that, I just want to remind everyone what millibars are. It's sea level pressure, and it's also HPA or hectopascal reading that you'll see. And on cams they use HPA. 931 millibars is equivalent to 1,000 feet up in the atmosphere, or 304 meters up. And this is considered surface level. 706 millibars is about 10,000 feet up, or 3,048 meters up. 477 millibars is about 20,000 feet up, or 6,096 meters. And 300 millibars equals 30,000 feet high, or 9,144 meters. So as these numbers get smaller in the millibars, they get higher in the atmosphere. So that's just a little reminder for people. So here are the numbers from this week. Here's last week. I'm posting them. Each column is the reading from before. So Met 1 in the AM from yesterday at 931 millibars, it was 1802. So that was up to 3 parts per billion from last week. 706 millibar reading was 1835, so that was up 6 parts per billion from last week. The 477 millibars came in at 1880, so that was up 6 from last week. And the 300 millibars came in at 1878, and that was the same as what it was last week. So on 477 millibars, it went up 6 parts per billion since last week, and it's gone up 10 parts per billion since March the 1st. That's just on that one level. Now on Met 1 PM, at 931 millibars, it went down 1 parts per billion. At 706 millibars, it went up 1. At 477 millibars, it went up 4. And at 300 millibars, it went up 2. So at 477, it's gone up 8 parts per billion since March the 1st. That was on the Met 1 satellite. Now on Met 2 on the AM at 931 millibars, it's gone up 4 parts per billion. The 706 millibars, it went up 5 this week. 477 millibars, it went up 7 this week. 300 millibars, it went up 4 this week. And on 477, it's gone up 11 parts per billion since March the 1st on this reading. Then on Met 2 PM satellite at 931 millibars, it went up 1 parts per billion. At 706 millibars, it went up 3. At 477 millibars, it went up 5. And at 300 millibars, it went up 4. So at 477 millibars, it's gone up 8 since March the 1st. So overall, for my calculations and just for my records, for the 477 millibar reading, the average, it's gone up overall 5.5 parts per billion since last week, and it's gone up 9.25 parts per billion since March the 1st. So it's on the rise since last week. So there's that report. So thank you, Dave, for that report and for your continued tracking of this and consistently sending us these reports, because the powers that be and the scientific community are not reporting on this, and so it's up to us to do what we can with the tools that we have to see what's going on. So that's integral in this as we move into the spring for the northern hemisphere and then into the summer. And as this happens, it's going to be heating up more and more and more. So it's going to be a long hot summer, I think. So here now we have Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services website, and we're looking at data from yesterday. They have data up from Wednesday, but we're going to look at data from yesterday, Saturday the 27th. I have the Arctic view pulled up and surface level. So here's where it ended on Friday with this continued release in the Kara Sea over here to the east of Novaya Zemlya, also on the Yamal Peninsula, also building and releasing here in Siberia, and just pockets that just keep building and releasing over here in Russia and the Norwegian areas. And when we change views, you'll see Europe as well. Also, we have this release, 2 releases that have been going on in the Atlantic Ocean just to the west of Norway. Also, Svalbard has been releasing again. So there's that. So let's load this up. It was loaded up from before, so it should load up pretty quickly. So we can see, other than those few areas here in the ocean, the Arctic is pretty quiet with methane, which is good for now. But it's certainly different than it was a month ago, where it was all this red and waves of red moving out and across Siberia and across the Arctic and coming out of the Chukchi Sea, and it's calmed down, so that's a good thing. And so in spite of the Arctic being calmer with the methane, and even Greenland, see, it's in the blue range, which is less methane release. So even in spite of that, overall the methane levels are rising because they're higher releases from other parts of the planet. And we're going to look at that in just a second. Okay, so now I want to look at Europe. And there have been a lot of forest fires up in Norway and the Scandinavian countries and also in the UK. There have been fires. So the fires can add to the methane, definitely. And you can see the UK filling up, France, Germany. This is Belgium here. This is Germany here. And overall the background color is getting a little higher too. Instead of it all being green, it's moving into the orange range. And so this is the higher releases. These are the higher releases of the methane that's contributing to the overall increase. So you can see this whole, see that background color all over the place is in the orange now. But we're not seeing the waves moving. It's they come up and then they go down. So that's when the sun comes up, it increases with the heat of the sun, but we're not seeing those waves and waves just releasing. So now I'd like to look at North America. And then we'll look at the global view. And then we'll look at 500 HPA as well. We're seeing high release through this Mississippi Valley region. This has been pretty much all week. And by the way, I'm doing little short methane reports and putting them up for my members on my Subscribestar page. Whenever there's new methane data that comes out, I just do a short report and put it up over there. And so if you'd like to support my work, I encourage you to go over to subscribestar.com/Margo, and for $5 a month you have access to the private videos, and I'm putting up news items every day, and you have an opportunity to private message me, and you get an email right in your inbox every time I put up a new post. So I'm liking it. We're working out the kinks, so it's working out fine. So we're seeing this northern and northeast part of the United States is pretty high release too. Also California, also Seattle and Vancouver regions here, and also up here in Canada where the Rocky Mountains move on up, and then just different places around But once summer comes, it'll be much worse once summer comes. And then we're seeing this wave of green move out from the ocean, and green is not a nothing color. That's from about 1960 to about 2,000 parts per billion in this green color. So it's coming up out of the ocean too. And we're seeing parts of the United States in the more blue range, just depending on the day and where you are. Okay, so now let's go to global. We're still seeing the high releases in China and also parts of Russia over here, and northern India still. Then also out of the interior of the South America, and also at the tip of South America. We also have high releases down in Mexico. Of course, they've got all those volcanoes going across, and then there are volcanoes that go down the whole west side of South America. So that's another big producer of methane. We can also see a little bit popping up here on the Kamchatka Peninsula. That's where the volcanoes are. So now let's pull up 500 HPA, but I haven't seen a blowout. I would let everyone know if I saw a blowout, and I've not seen a blowout. I've not seen a burst, but we are seeing that the green area is moving further south at 500 HPA. It's actually all the way down to the South Pole, it looks like. And so the green is moving further south at 500 HPA. It used to be up a little higher, and you'd have to go back to some of my older videos and see where this is. But it seems to me like it's mixing down further, and the red, which is the higher readings of the methane, tends to gather over colder air, so that's why it's gathered over the Arctic, a lot over the Arctic. At least at this level. So we're going to leave this as a backdrop now. And now let's find the latest reading on the Oroville Dam. It just came in. It's at 881.29 feet and rising as of 7 p.m. Pacific time. 81.29. And at midnight it was 880.2. So it's gone up over a foot since midnight. It's gone up 1.09 feet since midnight. So it'll keep going. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more readings for today. And yesterday it went up 1.41 feet from midnight to midnight. And we can see, we'll open this in Excel. At 8 o'clock this morning, the inflow was 21,279 cubic feet per second, and the outflow was 9,641 cubic feet per second. And the highest of the inflow today was down here at 4 o'clock this afternoon. It was 21,627 feet per second. That was the inflow. So I thought it was a little higher than that this morning. Oh yeah, here we go. At 6 o'clock this morning, the inflow was 23,977. Some is 24,000 cubic feet per second. So there's that. Now let's move on to our earthquake report. We have USGS pulled up here. All magnitudes for the last 24 hours. They're showing 242 on the map today. Of these, 35 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. This 4.2 at Tal, Chile, that's going to come off the map at 8:19. I'll be done by then. But let's just go ahead and start down here in Central America. We've got a 5.1 that came in near Savannah Bight, Honduras, right on the red line at 12:43 this morning. And all of these times are Pacific time because that's my time zone. Here's one in Venezuela, 5.0 near Maturin at 10:48 this morning, right on land. That would be big enough to cause damage if it was in a populated area. And look at this row right on this red line, right on the coast, coming on down. That's kind of crazy looking. Anyway, here's a 4.4 Minas de Marcona, Peru at 5:46 this morning. 4.7 Antofagasta, Chile, 3:25 this morning. 4.3 Tal, Chile, 8:19 last night. 4.0 Coquimbo, Chile, 7:22 this morning. 4.6 La Ligua, Chile, 5:03 this morning. None of these were very deep, so they were right there. coming on in. Next, coming across the Pacific, is a 4.3 near Niafu, Tonga at 5:37 this afternoon, 183 kilometers deep. 4.7 Isengel, Vanuatu at 2:06 this afternoon, 160 kilometers deep. 5.0 Isengel, Vanuatu at 7:15 this morning. 4.8 Port Ulri, Vanuatu at 9:30 this morning, 151 kilometers deep. Then on Papua New Guinea was at 5.1. I already checked this out, there's no tsunami. At 3:34 this morning. Here's a 4.3 near Dili, East Timor at 8:38 last night, 167 kilometers deep. 4.2 Kutai, Indonesia, 4:42 this afternoon. 4.6 Sarangani, Philippines at 4:31 this afternoon. And then we've got this cluster of 5 all right here. It's the same place. This one says it's Cortez, and then these are General Luna, but they're just right next to each other. 4.9 at 11 o'clock last night. 9 o'clock last night. 4.7 at 10:34 last night. 4.8 at 10:59 last night. 4.6 at 11:51 last night. And another 4.6 at 11:57 last night. And then nothing since then. All right there in the ocean on this red line at the Philippines. Then up here off the coast of Kamchatka, Russia, was a 4.5 at 10:33 this morning, 72 kilometers deep. Coming across on the mainland, on land, it's actually in China. The reporting station is Tajikistan. 4.8 near Karakul at 5:23 this afternoon. And I think that's it for the international earthquakes. Now let's move on to Hawaii. They've had some activity here. We've got 13 here. The largest one was this 4.2. They're calling it near Volcano, Hawaii. Now this is the flank of the Kilauea volcano. Here's Kilauea, and this is the flank of it, this whole area, and this is what collapsed and was moving into the sea last year. This has been going off since May of last year, and so it's not stopped. There's still movement and things are still happening here. So we've got 5 right here. We've got a 4.2 that happened at 8:26 last night, a 1.3 at 8:30 last night, 1.7 at 8:54 last night, a 1.8 at midnight, and a 1.9 at 6:49 this afternoon. All right there. And then Here's one to the west of Kilauea, a 2.3 that came in at 11:24 last night. Then here's two at Paw Hollow, 1.8 and a 1.6. Here's a 2.0 to the west of Kilauea at 4:40 this morning. Here's two near Mauna Loa. Here's Mauna Loa volcano. So we've got three right here. 1.8 at 6:24 this morning. A 2.2 at 6:31 this morning at a minus 2.5 kilometer depth. So that means that the earthquake was up in the side of the volcano, or of the crater. And another one, and a 1.8 at 10:09 this morning at a minus 1.1 kilometer depth. And then one over here on the west side, a 1.7 at Napupu at 6:58 this afternoon. So there's still a lot of activity going on over there. Now let's move on over to the Dominican Republic. We're showing 8 here today. 1.4, 2.2, 0.9, 1.5, 3.1, that's on land, 2.9, 2.8, and 0.7. So those are not big enough to do damage, but they could probably feel that 3.1. Oh, it was just off the coast. It looks like it's on land, but it was off the coast. So they might have felt that. I don't know. Now let's move on up to Alaska. In the Alaska region, we have 102 here today. And remember, they average 50 to 100 earthquakes a day. And there was only one that was above 2.5 magnitude. And it was this 3.5 near Craig, Alaska at 8:50 this morning. And we can see it's right on this red line where the Juan de Fuca plate, it's the north end, and this is where the Pacific plate and the North American plate meet, and it curves up like a little arm, like an armpit or something. And so that was a 3.5 right up there. And so all of these others are under 2.5 magnitude. So that's a lot of earthquakes. It's 101 that are under 2.5 magnitude. And remember, the little ones count. So we've got 24 here at Kobuk today. They're probably doing some mining, something causing the earth to shake. This has been going on for a while now. A lot of these are at surface level, 0 kilometers depth. And then we've got them just moving down through the state and spreading out. We're seeing more movement over here to the west, just spreading out. Here's a 2.1 McGrath, and here they are coming in around this Alaskan range. And here's Anchorage, so there's an uptick here today in the Anchorage region. We're showing 36 in the map here today. So just spreading out, just the little ones are all spreading out. So not going to spend a lot of time on that. Now let's come on down into the lower 48. And we're going to start here in Nevada. With all of this that's going on, the reporting station is Austin, Nevada, It's in the center of the state. It's just northeast of Fallon. It's right over here. And there have been 10 here today. And the largest one was this 4.0. So we don't normally see them this big here. Normally they're a little smaller. So I'm just going to call these off. Here's 2.9. And we had some here yesterday too. 2.9 at 10:19 last night. 2.5, 1:04 this morning. 2.1, 3:20 a.m. 4.0, 10:03 a.m. 3.5, 10:10 a.m. 2.2, 11:47 a.m. 2.3, 12:49 p.m. 3.3, 1:13 p.m. 1.8, 1:46 p.m. and a 4.1 at 4:56 p.m. So definitely something's happening down there. And then another strange one over here, just on the other side of the California border. It's a 2.6 that came in near Chilkoot, Vinton, California at 5:12 this morning at a -2 kilometer depth. And seriously, there's nothing there. The Highway 395 goes up right by it, and this is a mountainous region, and there's literally nothing there. And so with it being a -2 kilometer depth, the earthquake was up in the mountain. So I don't know if this is an old volcano and the magma is moving and causing it to the epicenter to be up in the mountain. I don't know. That happened at 5:12. So what time this one over Austin was at what was the big one? When was the big one? That was at 3:16. So are they connected? I don't know. There was more activity over here since then. So there was not one around 5 o'clock though. But it could have been related. You never know. You just never know. And then coming on down, here's 1.6 near Smith Valley. Here's one on the border, 0.2 near Beatty. And then down here in southern Nevada, including this little lone one, here's a 0.3 near Pahrump. But all of these, and remember we saw a cluster here at Beatty yesterday too. These are microquakes. They're small. They're under 1. And this is where the Nevada test site is. So there's stuff going on underground, definitely. It can cause movement. It can cause shaking and quaking. So there's that. Then up here in Yellowstone, we only have one. It was a 1.8 near Challis, Idaho at 4 o'clock this morning. Then up here in the Northwest Pacific area, in Washington, we have 3. We got a 0.4 Royal City, a 1.5 Amboy. That's near Mount St. Helens. It's not too far away. Here's Mount St. Helens. And a 1.5 East Wenatchee Bench, Washington. And I need to pause the recording and get the real-time tremor map pulled up. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So if we look at these, in the last 3 hours, there have been 0.7 hours of tremors, all up here in the Seattle, to the west of Seattle and Tacoma region. In the last 12 hours, there have been 3.6 hours of tremors. And they've been spread out. Here's one by Redding. Here's a few just south of Medford and a couple north of Medford. And in the last 24 hours, there have been 4.9 hours of tremors. And they've increased in this Tacoma area. And look, one out in the ocean there. So the tremors are showing movement of this Cascadia fault zone, this Cascadia region. So the most tremors we saw were right up in this area here. Now let's come on down to California. We're going to start with this 2.4 off the coast of Petrolia, right on the San Andreas fault line, where it connects with the Juan de Fuca plate. This happened at 11:17 this morning. Next is 1.9 near Hayfork at 4:57 this afternoon. Next is a 1.2 near Mineral at 6:12 this evening. And here's Chico, and here's the Oroville Dam. Here's Oroville, and here's the dam, and here's the Oroville Reservoir that we're watching. And there are lots of dams around California, and they're all about to top out. Well, most of them. So they're all filling up, and they're going to have to be releasing, and it'll all come downstream. So, you know, the higher that lake level gets, the less able they'll be able to handle any more fill up. So, but what do I know? I'm just Margo, the scientific empath. Alright, 32 with the geysers, but I can tell you my gut feelings are usually right on. And I had a successful psychic / empathic / spiritual healing practice that I stopped in order to report on this abrupt climate change stuff. And those abilities did not go away. So I trust my feelings, and I trust my impressions, no matter what anybody says. Okay, the largest one here was a 2.2. The rest are 1s and under. So 32 here at the geysers today. And you know, most people don't trust their feelings because they don't even know what they're feeling. They've been cut off from their feelings. They've been taught to not trust their feelings. And especially if you're scientifically minded primarily and you're locked into your left brain, that's all having to do with analytical thinking and nothing to do with the feelings. So, and the feelings is where your instincts are, and that's what will save you, not your mind. Your thoughts are not going to save you. So, you know, it's the way it is. Here's a 1.0 near Kensington, 2.4 Alum Rock. So, you know, people can poo-poo my feelings all they want. I don't care. I go by them and I stand by them. 1.6 Pentacles. They've saved me many times. This gut just acting. 1.2 Pentacles. 2.3 Pentacles. Was never steered me wrong. Never ever. Here's a new one, 2.5 Kettleman City, 1.5 Parkfield, 2.0 Pine Mountain Club. There's one in the ocean, 1.8 off the coast of Malibu. Okay, now we're coming into Southern California. Nothing across the state line. Okay, we've got 25 here today, so that's not very many considering. So of these, here's a 3.4 at Borrego Springs. That's the largest one right here, 3.4. Here's a 1.0 Bonita. Here's one at Salton Sea, 2.2. Here's a 1.6. That's that 3.4. Here's Kauai. They've just got a few right there today. And so, no blasting. All the blasters are at home. Earthquake makers are at home today. 1.6 Yucca Valley. They'll be back at work tomorrow. 1.9 Fort Irwin. 1.0 Searles Valley. 1.1 Coso Junction. So see, it's gone way down. I think I just saw that. Kettleman City, yep. Nothing at Mammoth Lakes. So see how the number of earthquakes decrease exponentially when you don't have all the blasting going on and all the explosions. It's amazing. So I stand by my theory that blasting leads to earthquakes. How could it not? Because it's shaken up the earth and it's causing things to move around, and that the magma's going to move, everything's going to move. How could it not cause earthquakes? Seriously. Okay, that's a wrap. So, like I say in all of my shows, time is short. No one knows the day or the hour. But everyone needs to get their spiritual houses in order before it's too late. So until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and good night.